All right, man.
All right, so here we are. Hey, Greg, really, really cool to welcome, reconnect with you. We connected a few days ago, and just couldn't wait for us to, really talk about all the things that we get to talk about, the path, finding your one thing, building your life around your one thing, and all the challenges that come along with that. So, for those who don't know, that's essentially, this obsession that I've always had about trying to figure out, okay, what led someone to choose their path and to be able to overcome all the challenges and create the kind of fulfilling life that they want to have around that path, around that thing that they feel is their thing, and they decide to build their life around. So obviously, Greg, I couldn't wait to have that conversation with you. So you and I met what 2 years ago in Tulum, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, time flies.
Time flies. Yes, it was quite an adventure. I was on a one way ticket to Tulum since I hadn't been there, and I wanted to see what it was about. And I was fortunate to run into you. So yeah. So I guess obviously I know a little bit about you, but for the people joining us, like tell us a little bit about your background, what you do these days, and yeah, we'll take it from there. And as usual, we're just gonna free flow.
Yeah, so I fitness coach is my background. I've been fitness coaching for 10 years. I'm from the UK. Have now been living in Mexico since the pandemic. That's gone very so fast. And now I am building a community for entrepreneurs and content creators and coaches who have been holding back, and now they're stepping into that next identity. And it's accountability and support and yeah, a community to celebrate each other's wins and help each other move forward to achieve the businesses, the income and the freedom and the impact we want.
Yeah, totally. And I remember as you were saying that, I remember seeing that amazing transformation of one of your clients, Adrian, and the before and after picture. I remember I saw that. I just couldn't help but say just wow, because that was quite a transformation. And this is exactly what you do, right? And I saw that I was like, okay, that guy is gifted. That's his thing. So as we're gonna go naturally into the fitness thing and everything that you're doing these days, I'm very curious as to the before, before getting into fitness, what like sparked it for you to get into that? What chose that path essentially?
Yeah, good question. I I was always into soccer or football, as we say in the UK, when I was younger. And then when I was 17, I stopped playing football because I wanted to get a job. And the job was at weekends, so it made sense to me. I just didn't have the time to play football, didn't like train and then play the matches. So I started working, and my first job was at a leisure centre where there was a gym, there was a swimming pool, and I was actually a lifeguard. But then the gym was free, and I was like really skinny, so I wanted to get in the gym and build muscle, and feel confident about myself. And since it was free, and since I had friends that were going, who I worked with, I just started to train. And then I really liked the idea of building muscle, and obviously I saw beginner gains, my arms, my biceps,
Yeah.
my shoulders and stuff. So I just felt good, and then it went from there. It just became a thing that I continued to do and have done ever since I was 17 to today. And I just improved over the years. Became a professional bodybuilder for 5 years, and then that then naturally what led into me coaching other people with that skill set and with the knowledge and the wisdom that I had.
So for with you even becoming a bodybuilder, is that something that you felt a natural draw to move towards, or you had people around you that said, "Hey, you know what? You should really try that path."
I just wanted to test myself. I was already in good shape. If like like for most people, I was in good shape at the time, but I just knew that obviously my standards were higher. I had a bigger vision because I was in that world, and I would see people on like magazines or on YouTube and stuff who were bigger and more even and super shredded. And I thought, wow, that would be awesome. I want to do that. And then I saw a competition, a local competition, and I I knew a woman who was a coach in my area, and so I asked her for some help, and then she coached me to do that competition. And then after that, I got the I did okay, but I knew I could have done so much better. So that sparked me to want to do more, to improve and to grow and to win essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, that competitive streak, right? We were talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
Like you and I like a high performance, so we like that idea of winning and getting better. So I'm so not surprised that you were like, okay, you know what? I can do better.
Yeah, I remember my family was watching me, and I was in good shape. Then there was other people in different weight classes to me who were more advanced, and some of them were just posing on stage doing all the flexing, and they looked so good. And I just knew that my performance, I looked good, but I didn't know how to do any of that stuff very well because I was my first competition. And so I'm thinking, oh God, I must have looked embarrassing compared to those guys. So that was really my motivation. It was, okay, next time I compete, I want to look good, but I want to be able to move so good on stage and just look like really good. So that really inspired me and motivated me. Yeah.
That's really cool. You know, it's interesting because I sense that there was that natural draw for you to move towards that, and eventually, if you well, as we compare to what you've been doing, well, more recently, you have this thing about wanting to pass on your knowledge to other, right? And the same motivation that you had for yourself, you want to see in others, see how they can elevate, get to that next level. So for yourself, I was curious, what was that click that made you go, you know what? I want to teach other people to do the same thing and see like how far they can take things for themselves.
Regarding the fitness.
Yeah, regarding the
Or
fitness.
yeah, it came about naturally. What happened was I was documenting my journey of doing my first competition and me getting bigger and more ripped. And then I was documenting that on Facebook. And over time, it just got built traction, and I ended up with thousands of people at the time following my stuff and engaging with my content. And then I just thought, people then started asking me for help. What are you eating, or can you send me a diet plan? So I started sending people diet plans. It was only for like £30, 20, so it was like 20, 25, no, 30, 35, $40. It wasn't much. And then it just escalated from there. So that went from diet plans, then it went to started teaching some people one-to-one in the gym. Then it went to fitness classes, and that then built into my first fitness company in the UK, which was like fitness classes. I had a team, and it was all managed and doing like 50,000 a month. So yeah, it grew with 400 members. So it went from like literally so nothing to like that in like a few years. It was good.
Well, that's crazy. And that's a recurring theme. Everything just happened naturally for you. Like people just saw what you did, just naturally came to you. Because I think sometimes on the path, we can have all these questions, especially for those people who think, okay, I need to get into business, but then they go, you know what, I don't really know, well, what to start, what it is about me that I can offer that people will need help with, and so there's almost this forcing happening, right, into trying to make something happen. But for you, it seemed like things just happened so naturally.
Yeah, and I know with my human design, the way that I lead and the way that I operate is regarding my content and leadership. It's always going through things myself and then
Yeah.
sharing the wisdom and sharing the journey and the lessons. And then naturally people will see that. They'll see me as being authentic and real and take inspiration from that. So that's what I'm recreating now as well with the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah, the formula exactly. Your formula is the same, whether it's back then or here. So you just,
Yeah.
replicating that essentially. No, that's really cool. And so, and there was also the transition from the offline, business to
Mm.
going online as well. Because I know, and as I get more familiar with your story, and we all go through that. And I'm referring to, that, well, two things. Number one, going through that stage where we get to lose everything for whatever reason, right? And then the shifts that we have to make because of, well, our environment. So I remember, like myself, yeah, I've gone through times where I lost everything. I had to rebuild from scratch, a few times, and there's always a challenge, the adjustments that have to be made, the questioning, the doubts. So for you, if you don't mind sharing, like how was that for you going through these stages?
Yeah, really good question. One thing that comes to mind about losing everything that happened to me in 2023 and then the start of 2024. I lost. Basically, what happened was I had built up that business in the UK, and then I I came to Mexico and I wanted to live here. And it was in the time of the pandemic. So what had happened was lots of members had paused or cancelled their monthly memberships with us. And then in that time, I came to Mexico, and I had the choice of going back to England and really rebuilding that business that would have took a lot of time, or staying in Mexico and building a business online. So that's what I chose to do. So I gave the business to two of my employees to to continue it literally for free. And then obviously, so that was that income stream gone, which is, going back in time, would I have done it that way? Probably not. Like, I would have done it a different way. However, I think in life things happen for a reason and they play out as they're supposed to. And now I'm on this path, so it's played out how, and I'm in a good place now. And then what I then did is I went online. So going online, I thought initially it was quite easy. I had lots of motivation, and I was in some really good real estate groups in the UK when clients were joining me from those groups, because I was doing a little bit of real estate at the time. So initially the online stuff did really well. Then I went through a really challenging on-off relationship in 2023. And so that took a lot of my headspace and energy. And I was just in an anxious place. So I really couldn't operate very well with business. So, and then I had another, my real estate that I had invested in didn't do well in 2023, cost me money, put me in debt. So I ended up being in this place where I'd just gone through an on-off breakup. I'd broke up with my girlfriend. I couldn't focus on my online business for a period of time. So income dropped. Then my real estate put me in debt. So I'd gone from having like a really successful business with recurring income every month, feeling secure and safe, to being single, in debt, and an online business that wasn't making much money. So it was like from the highest point to the lowest point in like 18 months. That was very, very difficult. So I hope that answers your question. And any questions
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It also brings me back some memories, because I know, and maybe something that a lot of guys can relate to as well is, and especially in your case, when you hit from all these angles, how your identity takes a hit. And so I know what I went through, but for yourself, like how did that put your, well, the way that you view yourself, and your identity and your ability to kind of push through, make sure you will stay strong on the path and find that way to rebuild yourself and not lose yourself in the process?
Yeah, man, that's such a good question. My identity and my self-worth just went to the lowest it had ever been, because I'd put all my self-worth on external things. So the income in my bank account, the success of my business, having a hot girlfriend, being in Mexico and being able to travel and do what I wanted, do cool stuff with my friends or girlfriend if I wanted, spend money on things and not like have to like not be broke. So yeah, that was why I went so low. The start of 2024, all of that year really was just me trying to rebalance myself. And then what I did in that time was always exercised, still went to the gym, because it was good for my mind and my physical health. I also listened to spiritual teachers. That's when I got into listening to spiritual teachers for the first time, because lots of them were talking about how the spiritual path, how we go through challenge, but good things always come again. How, we go through these things to learn. So it's just a process. So that gave me comfort in knowing that I would get to being good again, and a good moment would come again like it has now. But it was, at the time, it's difficult to embody that. But it's only, when we can reflect with more time that's true. I also just was around some good friends. I always had a good support network of a close group of people, but people who were, wise and good. So they promoted just healthy habits. It wasn't drink or drugs or partying or anything like that. Lots of internal work on myself, time to myself to reflect, to journal, to speak to a couple of close friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 2024 was a huge year of introspection and rebuilding. And then, I suppose now I'm very self-aware of where I'm getting my self-worth from. Like, I'm constantly reaffirming to myself that I'm worthy as who I am.
Yes.
And because of the person that I am, and just as a soul, as a being, not because of the money in my account or the car that I drive or the watch that I wear and those types of things.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, because you were able to get on the other side of this. Not everyone can do it, and that transition, especially when there's such a focus on the identity piece, the inner work, that time it feels like things are just moving so slow, right? You remember? Things are just moving so slow. So there's the component of patience. So for you, like the patience piece, how did you find it? Managing that and realizing that things were moving so slow, not as fast as you wanted them to be.
It's I love like having these conversations, because we've both been through this stuff, so we both understand what it's like. And it's nice to be able to reflect back now, having got through all this shit, and being in a better place. And I know that we'll probably go through challenges again at another point because life is in a cycle, but now
Right.
it's nice to be present and enjoy. So patience, I felt like I was just doing my best. I was never saying to myself, I need to be patient. It was more a case of I'm doing my best to try and get out of the shit that I feel
Yeah.
and the situation I feel in, and it's just taking time, but taking it day by day. And then I suppose when I was in the worst of it, when I was in massive anxiety and on off relationship and financial pressure at the same time, I was literally just focused on asking myself every day, what's my priority today to get through this,
Yeah.
work wise, business wise, just with myself. And then that was helping at the time. 2024, it was more when I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and then we separated and she left and went to a different country. That allowed me to start processing that relationship. And then when I met my now girlfriend, Shamila, many months after, that then allowed me to start rebuilding myself as a man because I was responsible for her as well. And how do I just say it? I just had to start like sharpening up and not feeling bad about myself. Started to enjoy life more. I started to do things with her. We'd go out at the weekend to the beach and laugh and joke. So that really started to make me feel better. And then just being in that relationship and building together helped. And then understanding that if I want to start doing more cool stuff with her, I've got to start building up my income again. So that really got me into my mind switched from just kind of feeling a low moment to feeling like looking to the future to build with work. So that really sped things up. And then it's now at a point where we've been together 2 years, and because we've been building our businesses, we've not been on vacation with each other yet. So now I'm in a place where I've got so much motivation at the moment to keep building faster because I want to be able to go on vacation with her and continue building our life together. So those are things that really, the kind of the process that helped me get good again. And it was time, and I just kept on thinking, just focus on each day.
Yes. That's amazing. And no, we speak about all those things that come into our life that kind of add to the fire and our motivation. So clearly, I mean, you've been so fortunate to come across her and build essentially a life experience, together. Now, for you, when it comes to, I was talking about that fire, that passion, like, how have you been able to pinpoint what is your driving force at this point that keeps you going, wanting to be better, not only for yourself, for her, the people that you support? What's your hunger, would you say, at this point?
Yeah, really good question. What comes to mind is building a life with her. I see how she's working so hard to build her business that supports us. I also see how she makes sacrifices with her business or her time or her energy for the good of our relationship. So seeing her do that inspires me to do the same. And I want to be in the man's role of providing for us to go and do amazing things and have an amazing life and build a family. So that's really a massive motive for me, with the initial focus on our first vacation and trip to Europe this summer, see my family and just do some cool stuff. And then the other thing is knowing my potential and knowing that I'm on this planet to lead and inspire other people. So I need to be able I need to be doing that. Otherwise, I just feel like that's my purpose. So why am I not living into that to share with insight and wisdom with other people? So that's another big thing. And then I suppose I always think about the difficult moments now that I've been through, whether it was feeling out of shape and not no confidence, or losing all my money, feeling really bad after a breakup and that moment, or being in debt. All those times, I think I loved it when people helped me. So I want to be that inspiration and that help for other people if they're in that moment or they're rebuilding or if they're in a challenge.
Yeah, and those things that you mentioned in terms of the debt and all the other items, those can be such anchors, such weight that even slow us down in our ability to get to where we want to be, and ultimately help, I guess, our ability to become the people that we see ourselves being, who we're meant to be. So for you, and I know there are lots of people who are going through that as well, how did you go about not allowing these, I guess, anchors to have that kind of power over you, to slow you down? Because there will always be something creeping in, right? So how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's really, I just want to speak everything that comes to me and just be honest. It was when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. I had no money. I was in debt for the first time in my life. Started 2024. I was thinking, how the hell have I just got here? And when I look at the vibration, the vibration chart where you can see the emotions like shame and guilt and like the lowest vibration emotions. And then we've got authenticity, which is the highest vibration emotion. Well, when I look at that chart, I'll drop it in I'll bring it on the video after. I was literally at those lowest vibration emotions for so long because I was just feeling so bad about myself, just shamed about myself, shamed about my situation at where I was at, just feeling embarrassed, angry with myself. So I felt that for a long time. And then how I started to get out of those emotions was kind of like I said, when I met my now girlfriend, I started having more fun in life. I started to just feel better about myself. I started to build my business and help people, some really successful people with fitness. And they really have given me so many compliments and said how good I am at what I do. Started to build up my self-worth again, and I started to feel good. And then 4 months ago, I started to speak about this journey, what I went through, the challenges that I had and how I've been rebuilding. And that was, I feel, the final piece that I needed to do to just get rid of all that negativity around that story that I had. Because truly, when I started to say I got in debt for the first time, or I had debt, so many other people that I look up to, mentors of mine, said, yeah, I went through situations like that. And it was like, it was nothing. It was like, yeah, this happens in life. It happens in business, right? We all have challenges. So when I saw that, I thought, why have I been so hard on myself and beating myself up so much? It's normal, right? We all have challenges of some sort. So that really allowed me to get rid of that negativity. And then now speaking about it and saying, look, I went through this, but now I'm on the way up and I'm way better than I was 2 years ago. It's inspired other people. So that's made me just keep doing it more, and it's just become easier. And those emotions just got lower and lower and lower. And
Okay, we're back.
lost you for a second there. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I got you. You said, yeah, it helps you just get rid of everything. People saw it as being normal in terms of your mentors. And that is, I mean, that's actually something I got to think about recently, where I was thinking, we just live in this illusion. And because we think our situation is so unique, when really it isn't, right? And I think once we're able to cross over and realize that, you know what, our situation is really not that unique. And we get to realize that, especially when, as you said, when you start being open about it and talking to people and you realize they've also gone through it. And so the ability to relate there is even amplified. But I think, yes, I think that's a crucial point. Once we're able to get out of that disillusion, I mean, it's literally a game changer, right? So no, I'm really glad that you were able to notice that and really free yourself. So now that kind of transitioned back into the inner work. And so for you, you're very much into that. Same with me. Like I spend a lot of time in the morning, spending time with myself, making sure that I hear what's happening inside and use that to kind of guide me and move me in the direction that I feel led to move. Because I remember when I had made that commitment to myself that I would start following really my soul, my heart, what it would say, and no longer think so much with my head because I've seen, well, where it has led me. That also was a game changer. So for yourself, like how much time do you spend with yourself, paying attention to what's happening inside? People will have different names for it, right? Whether it's meditation, prayer, contemplation, but it's at the end of the day, spending time with yourself. Like how much time do you dedicate to that?
Yeah, every morning I start my day with time to myself. Usually it's 30 minutes. Sometimes it could be a little bit longer because I just want to get clear on how am I thinking and what am I feeling that day. So I always just ask myself those questions on the morning. I'm like, how am I feeling today? Why? If it's negativity, okay, why am I feeling negative today? Is it scared? Is it anxiety? Is it sadness? And I would say it's only maybe once or twice a week it's more like negative, the rest it's good. But even when I feel good when I wake up, I'm analysing my thoughts and my emotions, and then I ask myself what feels aligned for me today, like where am I going? So yeah, I agree with you. listening to my heart instead of my head has been the biggest shift that I've made in, I'd say, the last 12 months. And it's a daily practice because it's so easy, I think, as people like us who are ambitious and driven to be in here and just go what we want to achieve and what we want to do and what we should do or what other people have told us is good, like mentors or people online. But to actually stop and be like, no, what feels aligned for me? And I share this analogy all the time, but there's a Bashar, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, he says how, imagine two different paths in life. You can go down one path, which is the logical mind, and you'll keep going down this path and falling into a hole, right? So you never get you to where you want to be. And path B is your highest mind, it's your intuition. And the path looks like this, it's like bendy, right? It doesn't seem logical. It seems so slow and like all over the place, and it's never going to get you to where you want to go. But if you just follow that, which is your intuition, your heart, it finally gets you to where you want to be. So that was just an incredible thing that I always think of every day now. And yeah, so I start my day, and I'm now learning it's a balance. I feel like most of my life I was in my head, and then I got 2024, I started getting into my heart for the first time, but I went too far. I was just only in my heart. And then 2025, and more so the start of this year, I was now finding that balance of being in my heart led with my intuition, but at the same time having the discipline and the focus and the structure around it to make a lot of progress.
Yes, absolutely. No, this is exactly what we talked about the other day. It's finding that sweet spot, right? Because my experience is when I spend too much time on, we'll say the spiritual side. And at one point, after I get all the clarity in terms of the direction to take, if I spend too much time there, now it feels like I'm just spinning my wheels. And that's the time where the execution piece needs, to take place. And so it's finding that, again, that sweet spot where, okay, yes, we're led by our heart, our soul, and then after that, okay, it's the execution. And then the fun part is once we have the clarity, it's almost like on the, you're driving and suddenly you're on the highway in this straight line. Now you can hit the gas, right? You don't have to check so much on the spiritual side because you know the direction. Every now and then, you make sure that, okay, you're still aligned. But you're right, it is this interesting dance that's taking place there.
Yeah.
So, and not really taught to a lot of people, especially, entrepreneurs, corporate, people in high level positions, right? In the kind of culture that we've been accustomed to. So for you, what's been your experience introducing maybe some of these concepts to people who spend maybe too much time in their head and not really thinking, okay, well, that could be the better way?
Yeah, I suppose with some of my fitness clients, the ones who are more open to it, I definitely have said what feels right. And sometimes some of them will say, I never thought about what feels right, because normally people don't, right? It's like, what should I do? It's always a logic. So that's been interesting. And some of that, yeah. And then as well, now I've got a community of people who are in a similar mindset as us. Like I mentioned earlier, people like you and me, so these conversations are more normal. So it's not so much about introducing this idea to people, it's more so reminding people, are you in your heart or are you in your head? Which are you aligned and taking disciplined, structured action with what's aligned, or are you just out of alignment and just trying to force, right? Yes. So that's been my experience.
So that's hilarious. Yeah, that question is very interesting, especially for us guys, because typically it would be a woman who would ask us that question, right? So then when we have a guy come in and say, hey, like, how are you feeling? It can be a bit of a culture shock sometimes. It's like, yeah, right, we have to be reminded.
Do you know what's so funny, right? Is like, I've been in this mindset now for like a couple of years, and I'm surrounded by people like you and other people in the community and just friends in general who are this mindset. And because I live in Tulum, where it's very self-aware people, I forget what it's like to live in a city or a place where everyone's like kind of just super focused and not into this world. So I speak now on social media, and I feel it's good that I've got these people around me because it's normalized. If I was back in England, everyone would be like, "What are you? Have you lost your mind?" And I know for sure, I know for sure, there's people who watch my content who do think I've lost my mind. But It's like we all go through. It's a spiritual awakening in a sense, right? I don't. It's the first time I've ever used that word. Saw a friend use
Yeah.
it the other day. But it's true. You just got to get more spiritual. It's just a path that you go through. I'm not the same person as I was 2 years ago or 5 years ago. I've evolved. It's a good thing. And I'm still as disciplined and as structured and as focused and driven and ambitious as ever. But I'm also not someone now who's willing to just brute force something and do something that I don't feel is aligned or that doesn't fill me with excitement or passion. No, I'm on this planet I know for me personally, to share my insights, my journey, my wisdom, and do stuff that's fully aligned and fully authentic and fully me. So this stuff is powerful. I love it.
It
And it's just
is.
so
It
normal to me
totally
now.
is. I know. I know. It's so interesting. But you know, it's good that people are coming to the realization that it is important because a lot of people, especially as people age, get to a point sometimes where they may be successful on paper, but they do know that something feels off, that there's a void, something is missing, and people have that. That's a real experience. So when that happens, yeah. So I was saying that. Yeah, I mean, the
People get
reality
to an age.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, the reality is that people, like, some people get to a place, especially as we age, to get to a place where we are successful on paper, or they are successful on paper, but they realize that something is off, something is missing, and they feel like there's more, but they can't quite pinpoint what it is. And so, really, when people like that come across people like yourself, for instance, I think it's really a blessing because we don't know what we don't know. We all have our blind spots. And so I like the fact that you mentioned about your clients that typically these are people who have that open mindedness, right? That's the only thing it takes. So I'm glad that you're able to impact people that way. And we were talking about the energy levels as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I find that that is also very important. I mean, something as simple as thinking of this ideal scenario that we want for our lives, the way that we see ourselves. Naturally, when we think of that, that just brings up the energy, right? And then at that point, it's just a matter of just finding ways to find that alignment again. The people that can help us get there, the opportunities that we can say yes to, the things that we can let go of, right? All those things. All of this is part
Yeah.
of the equation.
And sometimes it's scary and not easy because it might mean big changes. For me, it was 4 months ago having built a fitness company and online coaching, and you post the highlight. I speak for myself. I posted the highlight reels of my life and my business. Even when I was going through challenges, I didn't post as much, but if I did, it would still be a highlight at the time. So it wasn't a true reflection of how I was feeling or how I was. So no one, unless a few people close to me and my family, knew that I went through a challenge. So when I came 4 months ago to finally wanting to share that journey, because I knew alignment for me was speaking my truth and then attracting people who were in a similar moment or had been through similar or were going through what I'd been through. Alignment was for me attracting those people and building a community to help people, like-minded people. And that wouldn't happen and I wouldn't step into alignment if I didn't speak my truth. So that was very frightening for me. And now it's led to me moving that direction in business with this new community. I've still got my fitness company and my fitness clients, but my focus now is on the community. I know that's what's aligned for me. So that's led to me doing something that really scared me. It's also led to changes in my own business, with how it's structured and with my business partner. So, but it was necessary because I wanted to feel fulfilled and aligned, and that was number one for me, number one priority.
Yeah, the one thing that you mentioned that was really cool is the decision that you decided to make. And I say this because, I guess since like 2000 and around like 14, 15, the time that where I wrote my book, The Purpose Roadmap, I was always fascinated by, again, the path that people take to live their purpose, like find it, live it, like build their life around it. And the one thing that I found is a common checkpoint to have people really move into that place that you find yourself now is the ability to make that one bold decision, right? And this is exactly what you talk about. You made that one bold decision where really there was a lot at stake because, well, there's a lot of fear around it. What can happen? Like for me, at one point, it's when I had to make the move from one city to another, rebuild my life from scratch and thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen? I don't know anybody there. I don't have a job, but yet I still feel like in my heart that I have to move into a new city. So for you, like, and I remember the steps I took. Well, I can break it down. So I remember I said, okay, I have to move to this new city. I was in Edmonton, Alberta at the time. Decided to move to Ottawa, and for me, I had to burn the boats. I remember I booked a one-way ticket to the city,
Yeah.
and so there was no way I would return. I didn't even have a place to stay yet, but I knew I had to do it, right?
Well, man,
And
yeah.
so this is what was necessary. And after that, just following up with a plan and not allow anything to allow me to backtrack. So for you, what were some of the things that you did to be able to to burn those boats?
Man, I love that you just went all in. I love that. It shows full commitment and dedication. And the big thing I loved that you said there is you knew it felt right. Like logically, I know for a fact everyone would have been saying to you, why? It doesn't make sense. Trying to like give you the logic, but you knew that it's what felt right. You knew your intuition and you followed that. So I hugely respect that because that's the hardest thing to do. I've
Appreciate
just
that, yeah.
experienced that. Like even my girlfriend, she's like, yeah, but fitness is you're known for it. And I'm like, I said, babe, I know I am, but right now because it's not feeling aligned, it's feeling harder to attract clients. Whereas when I just post my authentic self, it opens up so many doors and opportunities. I know it doesn't seem logical because all my experience has been this, but I'm telling you how I feel and what feels right, and what my intuition is telling me. So I have to trust that, right? So I respect
Yeah.
you for listening to that. Some of the things that to burn the boats, posting authentically for the first time, my full self, just saying that I got
Yeah.
in debt, I went through a breakup, I felt like shit. I had to pick myself up off the floor and go again. I'm not doing the income level that I was in my previous business. I'm not able to travel freely whenever I want, wherever I want right now. Like, so essentially breaking an image had built of me looking successful because the image for me is something that's always been conscious of, which I'm now obviously doing the inner work to remove. So that was a real bridge burner, just breaking that identity. And it's been a
Yes.
continuous thing I've been doing. I've been doing the reps like I would in the gym to
Hmm.
I feel like if I keep on posting, it keeps staying easy. But if I now took a month off posting my authentic self, it would get hard again. So it's just keep on posting
Yes.
every week.
Mm.
Another thing that burnt the boats or the bridges, I think that was the biggest thing because everything was a cascade from that. As soon as I made that move to start speaking, it then just led to everything else. Because I have mentors, a couple of my clients are mentors to me. I look up to them, successful business owners that give me advice. And I was worried about what they would think because they're super analytical, super intelligent, and they were giving me so much incredible advice for business to build my fitness company. And I was implementing it, but at the same time, my heart was saying, this way, Greg, this is the right way for you. So I was really scared about what they would think. Would they judge me or think I'm an idiot because it's so illogical what I want, the way I want it to go? But funny thing is that they've been super supportive and they're now giving me advice for this new direction that I want to go, or I'm going, should I say, I have been going. So that was just a lesson as well, that we can worry about what people will think and if we get judged. But actually, if people are super close to us and supportive and actually good friends, they will support us. That was incredible.
That's really cool, man. I love these type of conversations because again, it has to do with the path and trying to figure out, okay, how do we navigate it, right? And then how do we get to a point where we are equipped to navigate it? And so that's one of the reasons why, for me, I always mention to people, like, even when I lead the community, my community SoulWork is spending the time with yourself. I mean, that has to become a no-brainer because to be able to be led that way, as you were saying earlier, really makes a difference. So at the end of the day, you feel like there was that alignment. You feel confident. You feel also that trust within yourself building, right? Because all of the choices that you mentioned, these are not easy choices to make when, let's say, logic tells you to do something else. When other people come into the picture and say, you know what are you doing? It makes no sense, right? So that ability to build that trust in yourself. And so, I mean, to put it back on you, like where do you feel the trust in yourself is these days when it comes to make some of these tough decisions and really stay in alignment and on the path.
Yeah, I love that. I think trusting myself is really good. I feel now I'm understanding and can feel the difference when it's my heart or my head. And sometimes I still can try and do some stuff because it's logical. And then I remind myself, Greg, you know this is not aligned, you know this is not correct, and then I'll switch. Sometimes it'll take me a few days or maybe take me a week but most of the time now I trust that I can act from alignment. So, and then I've built massive self-respect and trust in myself in doing things that have been challenging for me, like I say, posting authentic content, just sharing my full self, things that are vulnerable, and not having this perfect image. An image instead of figuring things out and learning and growing in public.
Yes.
Well, in doing that and doing that consistently, I've just built up so much self-respect. It's like one of my clients who's not been going to the gym and then they start going to the gym again and stay consistent with doing that. And it's the same for me doing this in posting. So that's felt incredible. And it's built, yeah, like I said, lots of self-respect and trust in myself.
Yeah, that's huge. And so, after with the conversation we've had, like I have a better idea of your journey, right? There's always this common thread of, betterment, maximizing, I guess, being the best person that you can be, but also finding ways to equip yourself to navigate these growth spurs, from within yourself, ultimately. And so throughout this thread, you've shared a little bit about your purposes. Do you feel like that is your one thing, or do you feel like there's something else that really is your one thing, that if we had to just get rid of everything else, that's Greg's thing, and that's the thing that he's really building, the way he supports people, his life around, so he can feel aligned and fulfilled?
I feel like my purpose is to, well, I know when I look at my human design and my astrology, I was reading it this morning, so it's top of mind. It's essentially, there's a few little elements to it, but the overarching theme is going through things in my own life, sharing that wisdom and knowledge and insight to show people that there's a different version of them that's possible for them. So when I went from getting into the best shape of my life and doing bodybuilding, that showed other people that there's a different version of them physically that they could achieve because I did it. And didn't have to be a bodybuilder, but they could go from where they're at to improving how they looked, in taking action and being disciplined. And now in speaking my truth on social media and posting my full me, that's inspired other people to know that they can do that. So that's kind of the running theme of my life, and is to go through things, including and also the difficult things. It's very important. I share that too, to show people you can get through it, and there's a version of you that's possible. If they're here and they want to get here, whether it's income, relationship, body, it's possible because I did it, right? And I'm just a normal person. So yeah, I really feel that's my purpose, to share that. And I feel I'm aligned with that, and I'm excited because I've just got aligned this last 4 months, and I know now with the masculine energy, as we talked about, the logic and the discipline and the structure and the focus, the next years ahead of me are going to be really fun as I build this.
Yes, absolutely. And as you're going to continue doing that, I always like to ask that question is, let's say that, it's, end of your life, you look back, like, what is it that you want to be able to say about the way that you led your life and the kind of life you had?
Yeah, what comes to mind is Greg's a really good person. He was himself and he was just helped me. He was inspiring. Just being a good person, someone that keeps his word. He does the things he says he's going to do, and he cares. I really would like people to know me for that and to say those things about me.
That's really cool, man. And that's one of the reasons why I just couldn't wait to have that conversation with you. And really, again, those deep conversations, they're the best, right? We could go on for days like this.
I know. It's like what we talked about earlier. I only want to have conversations with people that I generally just love the conversation, and we can speak openly and deeply about the things that interest us. Like, of course, World Cup was just on. I watched a few games, but I don't really want to talk about football or those things. I want to talk about like business and personal growth and What are you learning? What are your insights? It's like spiritual topics, astrology, the things that I'm learning now and discovering. Yeah, and it's just refreshing. It gives me more energy as opposed to if I'm talking about things that don't interest me, it actually lowers my energy.
Yes. Oh, I totally get it. So what's in store for you and what you're gonna be offering people in the future? Is there anything that you're working on?
Yeah, so my community group now, I've really put a lot of structure to it now. And what it essentially is for people who have been in a similar situation to me, where a similar mindset, where super ambitious, super driven, super motivated, but they know that it's the self belief that's been the thing that's always held them back. And in life, I speak for myself, the times where I've believed in myself the most, I've always achieved the most and had the most success and the most fulfillment. But the times where I've held back, I've always been looking at other people thinking, I could do that, but not. So now I've got my group, which is an accountability, a support group to keep people accountable, keep people supported. So we all win together. So we're all stepping into the identity. And by that, I mean taking the actions, making the decisions and thinking at this level. So we achieve that. So
Yes.
that's what I'm doing now. And I see that as my next chapter that I'm excited about for sure. And I see just retreats and events coming from that. But with
Yes.
my first business, fitness classes, we had a huge community of 400 members. It was on Facebook in a group. And so I just miss that. People sharing the wins about losing weight. Now I want people to be sharing wins relevant to business. So yeah, I'm excited to have that community again of people and make real good relationships with people and then meet people in person as well from that as well.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And of course, as where we communicate, people can find you on Instagram. I am going to also have all of the links so people can connect with you under the video. And of course, when it comes to soul work, I'm also going to attach the links for that as, I'm working on, being able to support people on that journey of either discovering or building around their one thing and all of the challenges that come along the way, the beautiful challenges, even though when you are in those waters, it kind of sucks. But this is what we live for
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's part of the process. A coach, Alex Hormozy, who most people listening to this have probably heard of, he said this quote that really resonated with me. He said, when we start something, we're always going to suck. When we start naturally, right? So the faster you
Yeah.
start to suck, the faster you get better, which is so true. It's like even my own girlfriend said to me that some of my content when I started posting authentically 4 months ago was cringy. And it was because I was trying to figure it all out and I was a bit embarrassed about what I was saying, so my energy was off, blah blah blah. And it's not nice to hear that from your partner, but I just knew it was a process that I had to do. Just like if people start the gym, they're going to be weak at first, or they might not be able to do the exercises properly. But if they keep on doing it with repetition, they get better. So, like you said, when we go through challenges in life, it's part of the process, it's part of the journey. But if we just keep going, everything works out.
I love it. Well, that's a great way to, conclude our conversation here. But man, it was really nice to have this one with you. Really proud of, well, this episode. I don't do a lot of them, but I always go, you know what, the people that I want to have on there are people who are going through the journey that, you shared with us today, but also people that I would love to hang out with, right? Have a coffee with and have these awesome conversations with. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for accepting this. And I know you and I will have many, many more conversations.
sure. Awesome, man. It's great to talk.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, Greg.